Relationally, the Master Mason's perspective or state or role, or however you want to look at it, um, uh, is very, very resilient. And I say resilient because um, we live in a world that is uh, full of disruptions, full of distractions. When you are in a Master Mason's flow state, you can take those disruptions and interruptions and demands for your attention, and typically you can context switch very easily to handle and process those things without losing your flow in the process. And at the same time, you are flowing with the materials you're working with. You are flowing with um, the ideas and concepts that you might be kind of working out. In this way, the Master Mason is understanding the relationships between themselves and the work, between themselves and the external world, other disruptions, and between the work and the resource demands and constraints of that work. It's in this place where you become a master of the relationships as well as um, kind of the work itself. So we move from this really place of high skill to a place of high interaction, high interplay, and flow. When this is present and occurring, you'll find that you can effortlessly or near effortlessly process information and feedback from the systems you're working within, and uh, it doesn't completely throw you off the horse. So you find, for example, you're working with a piece of wood and you run across a knot that you hadn't discovered before, or a piece chips out that you weren't prepared for. When you are in that place of mastery, you are, relating to what has happened. You're taking that input in a meaningful way. You're able to process that, adapt, respond, and continue to still create a quality piece of work or what have you. That kind of adaptability that comes with the Master Mason's sort of relational perspective, that level 2 kind of look into the work, um, really is essentially, it's not an isolation, right? Whereas, in the Enter Apprentice Masons for the function, it's much more isolated. You can take feedback, but it's directional and it's one way. In a Master Mason's kind of perspective, you work with the sort of constraints and situations and feedback that emerges from the systems you're working in, and you're able to incorporate and integrate those disruptions and adversities and feedback mechanisms, and create actually better quality outcomes as a result. It's not just mitigating, it's improving and going with those disruptions. Same thing's true again in the legal field, same thing's true in the medical field. These kinds of things, when it comes to really meaningfully understanding the dynamics of the environment you're working in and becoming a master craftsman with those dynamics, you're able to, create better outcomes even when adversity strikes or arises. So, if you're looking to kind of strengthen that capacity, again, it's simple guidance is to go back to the Fellowcraft Mason's degree or perspective, identify what is perhaps holding you back or what's preventing you from incorporating this new data, this new interruption, this new circumstance or adversity. How can I best respond to this and still create the masterwork, and then move back into the Master Mason's perspective, and proceed. I think you'll find that this sort of perspective and context switching will be very useful for you, particularly if you're just kind of in that early Master Mason phase and you're not in this sort of past masters, like full comprehensive understanding. You're still taking in some of that newer feedback, that earlier Master Mason's experience. Again, that Fellowcraft perspective may help you nurture that and grow it further.